Hello, it's Sandy Grayson. I'm back with two more fabulous people today. We have Tim Schultz with Boettcher Foundation,
yes,
is that right?
Correct.
And Josie Burke with El Pomar Foundation. And you guys are not raising money today, you're actually giving away money. Is that right?
We are. We're so excited to participate. There's a little story that goes behind this. 75 years ago this year, our two founders, Spencer Penrose from Colorado Springs and El Pomar, and Claude Boettcher from the Boettcher Foundation, Boettcher family here in Denver, we really know they got together and they talked about giving. And they both were wealthy industrialists, and so 5 days apart in December of 1937, they formed the two foundations, the El Pomar Foundation and the Boettcher Foundation.
And El Pomar is 5 days older, not that it matters.
Yeah, they're the older of the two.
There's a little competition going on.
Not much, but there is a little. So we sat down and said, you know, rather than each foundation do some sort of a 75th anniversary celebration, we ought to come together. And we ought to celebrate not so much about ourselves, but about philanthropy. And as we talked about it, one of our goals was to say, is there a way we can encourage others? And Colorado Gives Day came to mind right away. And so we came up with an idea of how we could promote more giving and promote giving outside of the Denver area to rural Colorado, where there wasn't as much yet engagement in Colorado Gives Day. So Josie,
so you're actually making Colorado Gives Day even bigger.
It's hard to believe that that's possible.
That's
but
exciting.
Yes, that's
Tell us what
plan.
you're doing.
It's a grant that the two foundations came together to give to Community First Foundation, totaling $150,000, $75,000 from Boettcher and $75,000 from El Pomar.
So and everything even, Stephen.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And it really is going to last at least for the next 12 months and then hopefully have an impact beyond. Today we're giving what we're calling Diamond Anniversary Dollars to 20 different nonprofits outside the Denver metro area that get donations in the hours that stand for 75, so the 7 o'clock hours and the 5 o'clock hours. And that's again to encourage giving statewide. But once Colorado Gives Day 2012 is over, the grant will really kick into effect. And the idea is to help Community First Foundation help communities build that infrastructure so that they can have access to resources and be even more successful on Colorado Gives Day, and also using that online giving tool, givingfirst.org.
How did you personally get involved in El Pomar?
Personally, my personal story? Well, I used to do what you're doing right now and sit in a chair and interview people, and I had a whole life and career like that, and then I had a family and decided, wow, it would be nice to have a job that allowed me to, in some way, be in touch with helping other people. And
wow.
So that landed me at El Pomar Foundation.
Maybe it's foreshadowing, because every person I interview today, I want to go and help and get involved with. How about you, Tim?
You know, I can't describe a better career for anyone than to be engaged in the non-for-profit community or with the foundation. I mean, we're so lucky that we're not doing the work. We are so privileged to have jobs that allow us to support the folks that are out there doing the work that they do all over Colorado. So in my case, I was fortunate to have a variety of jobs, starting in banking, and then I was a cowboy at a ranch and ended up as a county commissioner, which brought me to Denver, a couple of state cabinet jobs, and fortunately the Boettcher Foundation 17 years ago came and asked if I would be the executive director, and it's a job that you don't give up. I mean, you love what you do, and every day to get up and think that you can help people is a privilege for all of us. And that was a big part of when we sat down and talked about how we could help Giving First and the Colorado Gives Day. Was not so much about just give some dollars. It was say, how do you help it grow? Because you sit back and you think about, well, this is really easy. You just call in and you punch in a few numbers in your credit card and the money goes to a nonprofit. Well, there's an incredible amount of infrastructure behind that that allows for all that to happen, and each community needs to have that base of support that goes out and finds supporters, goes out and works with the nonprofits. So that was our thought, was let's grow it in some communities beyond the Denver community, keeping it linked to the foundation here.
I think it's so important, because so often when we want to give, we don't know where to start. We don't know if we're giving to the right people or the right organizations, if our money's going to go to good use. That's kind of the position that you're in. So what tips or advice do you have for when people are trying to make those tough decisions about where to give their money? That's what you have to do every day, right?
It is, and as Tim said, we don't have the hard job. I mean, the hard job belongs to those out in the field, actually helping people or creating that great community space or arts institution. But I think the number one thing is to start with what you love and what you care about and what you're passionate about, and that will lead you to certain places. And then, you know, you want to just be able to write a check or go online and make a donation, but doing your homework, I think, is something that's really important. And one of the beautiful things about givingfirst.org is, to a great extent, Community First Foundation is doing that homework for you by vetting each of these organizations that's on there.
Yeah, so you know your money's going to go to good use.
Our founders, Spencer Penrose and Claude Boettcher, they were industrialists, but they were generalists. So in both of our foundations, they didn't tell us you have to give the money in one particular way. They said give the money to support the people of Colorado. And I think when you work at a place like a foundation, sometimes it's hard early on, because how do you compare giving to Children's Hospital, to giving to a Boys and Girls Club, to giving to the Symphony? All are valuable.
Yeah.
But as Josie said, it's about finding what your passion is, not really criticizing the others, but saying this is what I'm passionate about, this is where I want my money to go. So we try to honor all the nonprofits in everything we do, but also honor the donors and not pick one over the other and say one's more valuable than the other. They're all are what make up this state and put the fabric together that makes Colorado what it is.
And one of the things that you said when we were chatting before we got on camera was that it's not about the amount, that even if it's just $75 or $50 or whatever you have, it makes a difference. It
makes a difference, and it makes you feel so good. I was online this morning making some donations, and they weren't huge donations, but there's something about that. It's like the high you get from exercising. It's very natural and exciting, and I think the key is to just start doing it, and that's what we're hoping to encourage lots of new donors. I mean, the past 2 years with Colorado Gives Day, it's been astounding how much money has been raised, but really the sky is the limit, and so every dollar certainly counts.
And from our perspective, when we look at grants and we look at a nonprofit that comes to us and says we need support for a project, it's important for us to know who also is giving to them. And it's wonderful when you see one or two very wealthy people give all the money. We relate much more to the organization that has hundreds of people giving a little bit of money, because what it says to us is that their base is deep, and that the people in a community, whether that's the town or whether that's a whole state, really believe in that organization. And when they believe in it, they're gonna volunteer their time, and it's gonna be a successful organization. So it is important for everyone to be a part of it, no matter the size of it. The amount isn't important. It's you're on the team if you make a donation today.
So what do you think has changed in the last 75 years with your two foundations?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I wasn't here yet 75 years ago. I will say that almost, but not quite.
I was not insinuating that.
It was a much simpler world. You know, there were so few nonprofits in the earlier days in this state. So if something like the Museum of Nature and Science came along, that was a big deal for everybody. And it was a whole community coming together. Now you find individuals who start nonprofits, and there's so many more, and we have to, you know, we only have limited dollars. You have to judge against all those. But I think it's just tougher today than it was then.
And I think if you're part of an organization that's been around that long, there's history, obviously, but you don't survive without being somewhat nimble and able to change with the times. And so I think you go through different cycles of what's important and what your focus is, but with Boettcher Foundation and with El Pomar Foundation, there has always been that ability to understand what the needs are in the community and then to become what you need to become in order to help meet those needs.
That's great. Chris was signaling me. Are we good? Oh, there's a new number. They're trying to like give me sign language. $8 million has been raised already. So we're just getting started on Colorado Gives Day. Before I let you guys go, do you have any like cool special projects that you've been involved with that you want to talk about, that you've given money to?
Well, I think the 75th anniversary in and of itself is a cool special topic, and Colorado Gives Day and the Grant to Community First is just the first in a series of grants and special events that we're going to be collaborating on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Over the entire year, we're going to be doing a variety of things. I think the other thing that I would mention for both of the foundations is it is one thing to invest in the infrastructure of a nonprofit. It's something else to invest in people. Mm. And both of our organizations have done that. Over the years, we make a lot of investments in projects and buildings and nonprofits, but almost equally we're investing in people. And that's through the scholarships we do, it's through the fellowship program that they have regional councils. And what we found is that your dollars have power when you give it into a project or a building, but they really have power when you invest in a person that takes that knowledge that you support them with, mm-hmm. and then goes out and really magnifies what they do.
Yeah, it's touching my heart. I've been crying several times throughout the day. You watch the videos and you meet the people and you really see that they're doing what they're meant to be doing in the world and making a difference.
Well, and we want to thank you. We want to thank ICASA for bringing all these folks mm-hmm. here, because what you're showing is how different all the different nonprofits are, and the funders, and it's not just a one or two. I think there 1,200 organizations or something that have been vetted and that are on the list. Yeah. And that's really just a piece of what is out there in Colorado. It's
true, and we're bringing you about 28 different nonprofits today, and fabulous people like the two of you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I hope you'll come back or hang around. We're going to have a little celebration at the end of the day from 5 to 9 with some snacks and things.
We'll try to do that. That's one thing about nonprofits. They work hard, but they're willing to party a little bit at the end of the day. So that's great. Thank you.
Well, make sure you check out our celebration as well. There's a link right on our live stream right now, and make sure you give for Colorado Gives Day here at ICOSA. This is Sandy Grayson.